Welcome. My name is Valerie Sharp. This is my ASU Social Justice Human Rights Capstone presentation for spring 2025. The purpose of this compendium is to shed light on inalienable rights that are being denied to racialized migrant minorities who are seeking asylum and safety in a place that they can call home. The compendium is designed to examine historical and contemporary immigration issues that stem from restrictionism. The research will offer a comparative analysis of immigration policies in the United States and the Dominican Republic. My capstone project is titled Racism, Restrictionism, and Anti-Haitianism. Oh my, there's no place like home. As I reflect back, the research has aligned with the missionary work that I've done in Kenya, South Africa, and Haiti. I am now currently working in Haiti um, and the Dominican Republic, but primarily in Dominican Republic. As an expatriate who lives in the Dominican Republic for the past 10 years, I have witnessed the interplay between the growth of anti-immigrant sentiment and the acceleration of socio-political collapse in Haiti and the dehumanizing conditions that Haitians are forced to live in residing in the Dominican Republic. They now suffer under because of a crisis which comes out of racialism and the adoption of restrictionist immigration policies. The coursework has been closely aligned with research that I've been doing. Throughout several of the courses, the scholarship was prioritized and focused on marginalized groups, issues involving racial and ethnic minorities, women, and the LGBTQ individuals, and challenged us to address systemic issues that erase their voices. That helped solidify my desire to focus my research on the racialized migrants and asylum seekers. The coursework also gave me valuable skills for coding data and analyzing data using Max QDA software, and also strengthened my ability to become familiar with Zotero. It has been an extremely useful tool in collecting and organizing, citing, and sharing research. I'd now like to share my screen with you. This is my home page. And on my home page, up at the top menu, you can see that I have um, included on my home page my title, Racism, Restrictionism, and Anti-Haitianism, oh my, no place like home. This young lady here symbolizes an undocumented worker that I've been working with the past 10 years in terms of learning how to read and write English. I included um, a Google slide presentation to talk about some of those issues, efforts to slow migration at the border, deportation, and just generally militarizing the deportation process. And also, I thought it was important to point out about colonialism on the island of Hispaniola, which ended up with the island becoming divided. Historical conflicts, the importance of the Parsley Massacre, and how it fueled tensions between the Dominican Republic and Haiti. These are some photos from the literacy program and from the Dominican Republic that I threw in as part of my presentation. Up at the top of the menu, wanted to highlight my abstract and my topic of restrictionism. I also highlighted as part of my presentation about the intersectionality of race and immigration, and how it has impacted on the lives of racialized migrants. The policies, the restrictionist policies that you see in the Dominican Republic are mirrored in the United States. Under theoretical framework, I have a writing about the foundation in racial animus. And here you'll see some border um, incidents which have been becoming increasingly disturbing not only in the Dominican Republic, but also the United States in terms of enforcement and looking for undocumented people. Educational writings, there are three pieces that help to bring all of my research together. One is called Paradise or Discontinent. And in here talks about whether or not um, paradise even exists for Haitians, whether they're living in the United States or living in the Dominican Republic. Often we think about the Dominican Republic in terms of it being a paradise. But when you go beyond the palatial resorts in the Dominican Republic, you quickly realize that it is not all that is cracked up to be in terms of being a paradise. Another critical piece is my review on a milestone that I submitted in one of my previous papers that talks about deportation and how Latinos and other racialized groups are targeted and discriminated due to those immigration policies. The attitudes towards migrants coming into the United States is not helped by the rhetoric that goes on in this country in terms of they're coming to take our jobs and things like that. This looks at the rise and fall of US asylum and refugee policies. And I've highlighted some work using a qualitative research format. For this presentation, I specifically looked at the rights of the undocumented because a lot of the people that I work with in the Dominican Republic, in fact, are undocumented. I included my narrative, which talks about my major themes of my compendium and the restrictionist immigration policies. And I talked about individual coursework that I have gone through with the social justice and human rights um, program and how valuable that it was. I just want to focus in on the final paragraph of this. Leaving your home country is a difficult decision. Resettling in another country is further complicated if you must face racism, discrimination, violence, and other uh, types of dehumanizing conditions. In particular, it runs into human rights violations. The research clearly demonstrates that structural exists both in the United States and the Dominican Republic, and it impacts the lives of those individuals who are seeking asylum, who are seeking, quote, paradise. And one of the things that we can do and that I hope to do is to begin to insist that politicians, first of all, put an end to racist and xenophobic sentiment. It does not help. Also included is my vision statement and what I hope to do, not only now, but in the future. One of the things that I created in terms of accessibility was this idea of how to make those that are not perhaps familiar with restrictionism, make it more accessible. And what I did was come up with what we call an allegorical framework. And I did a lesson that I've included here, the instructions for the students as well as educators on how to present it through the use of looking at the Wizard of Oz. And there, essentially, what I did was take the characters um, and the different symbols in the story of the Wizard of Oz and equate it to migrants and asylum seekers who are looking for that magical emerald city, whether it's the United States or whether or not it is the Dominican Republic in terms of finding a place like home. Also included in my presentation is obviously my bibliography and some more information that I thought that would be make it more accessible to those that are uh, willing to take a look at my presentation. What next? What does the future hold for me? I want to continue to work with vulnerable populations in Kenya, Haiti, and also now, obviously, in the Dominican Republic. What it has done is it has allowed me to be able to understand the importance of respect for cultural nuances. As a humanitarian, we sometimes approach a humanitarian crisis with a do gooder hat, where we put this hat on and we believe that we're doing good. But one of the things that we have to incorporate is people that we are helping to involve them and build a relationship of trust and enlisting them into what needs to be done. I will continue to work as an advocate and a humanitarian wherever it is that I have been called globally. Systemic issues of racism and racism immigration reform needs to be done not only in the United States, but also in the Dominican Republic and on the global front as well. We need to address how we handle asylum applications, racial rhetoric, and addressing humanitarian care and oppression for racialized migrants and asylum seekers. Black and Brown people are in search of a home or that elusive paradise, a place that they can find fulfillment, contentment, rest, and refreshment. It should be afforded to all individuals. They should all be given an opportunity. One of my favorite anthropologists, George Beckett, said best when he acknowledged to feed and be fed as human beings in a place that can truly call home.